The massive screens in the Galactic Council's observation room filled with images of a blue-green planet. Dr. Kang Daho leaned forward in his chair, his eyes fixed on the data streaming across his display. After 20 years of studying alien species, he had never seen anything quite like this. "Play the recording again," he ordered. The AI system repeated the footage of humans climbing Mount Everest. The other council members watched in silence as the tiny figures pushed through howling winds and deadly cold. "These creatures are climbing this mountain for fun?" asked first speaker Ratol, his scaled skin shifting colors in confusion. "Yes," Daho replied. "And this isn't even the strangest thing they do." He switched to different footage. Humans diving into deep ocean trenches, running through burning buildings to save others, and racing vehicles at deadly speeds. The council chamber erupted in worried whispers. These humans weren't just surviving on their death world. They were actively seeking out its most dangerous places. Daho pulled up more data on his screen. Their planet should be too dangerous for intelligent life. High gravity, extreme temperature ranges, powerful storms, and thousands of venomous creatures. But instead of dying out, they turned these challenges into sports. The images shifted to show human cities. Massive structures of steel and glass rose into the clouds, defying their world's crushing gravity. Vehicles moved in complex patterns that should have resulted in countless deaths, yet somehow flowed smoothly. Most concerning, Daho continued, is their response to danger. He played a series of clips showing humans running toward disasters instead of away from them. When they see a threat, they don't just face it. They study it, they master it, and then they teach others to do the same. First speaker Ratol's skin turned a deep blue of worry. "What are your recommendations, Doctor?" "We should establish contact immediately," Daho said, surprising the council. "Because if we don't, they'll find us first. Look at this." He showed the progress of human space technology, advancing faster than any species they'd ever encountered. They're not just adapting to space, they're already making plans to change it to suit them better. The council chamber fell silent as a new alert flashed across the main screen. A human radio telescope had detected their observation satellites. In the following data stream, they watched as humans around the world began excitedly preparing for alien contact. "Too late," Daho said, studying the human responses. "They know we're here, and instead of fear, they're showing curiosity." He zoomed in on human news reports, social media, and scientific discussions. "They're already trying to figure out how to communicate with us." First speaker Ratol's scales shifted to a pattern that indicated deep thought. "Can they be contained?" Daho shook his head. "You don't understand. Containment is exactly what we shouldn't do. Look at their history." He displayed scenes of human conflicts and their aftermath. Every time they face restrictions, they don't just overcome them, they come out stronger. A containment attempt wouldn't stop them. It would only teach them how to break out of any cage we might build in the future. The council members watched as humans began broadcasting welcome messages into space, trying to reach their observers. The messages were in thousands of different formats: radio waves, light patterns, mathematical sequences, and even attempts at creating universal physical constants as communication tools. "They've spotted our observation platforms," a junior analyst reported, "and they're already working on ways to reach them. They've launched 3 new space missions in the last hour alone." Daho stood up, addressing the council directly. "We have 2 choices. We can try to hide, knowing they'll eventually find us anyway, or we can approach them openly, while we still have the chance to guide first contact." First speaker Ratol's scales shifted to the formal patterns of decision-making. "Prepare a contact team. But Doctor," he added as Daho turned to leave, "choose your team carefully. We may be meeting the most dangerous species in the galaxy." Daho looked back at the screens, where humans continued their eager attempts at communication. "No, first speaker. We're meeting something far more interesting than just another dangerous species. We're meeting the first creatures we've ever found who see danger as an opportunity. Kim Hae-yun stared at her research screens with growing amazement. As a junior xenobiologist on the first contact team, she had expected to study basic human biology. Instead, she found herself watching videos of human children learning to swim. "Look at this," she said, turning to her superior. "They take their young into water on purpose. They aren't born knowing how to swim, so they teach them." The observation lab had been monitoring human activities for 3 weeks now. Every day brought new surprises. "That's not the strange part," Hae-yun continued, pulling up more footage. "Look what happens after they learn to swim." The screen showed humans diving into stormy seas to rescue others, swimming with dangerous ocean creatures, and exploring underwater caves. Her superior, a tall being from a water world, rippled its fins in confusion. They master a survival skill, and then use it to put themselves in danger. They do this with everything, Hae-yun explained, switching between different scenes. They learn to control fire, then become firefighters. They learn to survive in mountains, then climb the tallest peaks. They learn to handle machines, then race them at deadly speeds. She brought up her latest research findings on the main screen. "But here's what really worries me. They don't just adapt to their environment. They change it completely." The images showed the transformation of Earth's landscapes. Humans had turned deserts into cities, built islands in the ocean, and carved tunnels through mountains. "Most species evolve to fit their environment," Hae-yun said. "Humans make their environment evolve to fit them." A warning alert flashed across her screen. The humans had done it again, broken another barrier that should have stopped them. This time, they had reverse-engineered one of the Council's observation devices. "How?" her superior asked, fins now showing patterns of distress. "That technology should be far beyond their current level." Hae-yun played back the research footage. "They found one of our damaged weather monitors. Instead of being confused by it, they treated it like a puzzle. They didn't just study it, they improved it." The lab fell silent as they watched humans take apart the alien device, understand its principles, and build a better version in just 3 days. "There's something else," Hae-yun said, pulling up her behavioral analysis. "When they face something they don't understand, they don't show proper fear. They show excitement." New footage appeared on the screens. Human scientists working late into the night, sharing discoveries with obvious joy, celebrating each breakthrough with increasing enthusiasm. "Most species feel fear when facing the unknown," she explained. "It's a proper survival response. But humans," she highlighted brain scan data from human researchers, "they actually get pleasure from solving dangerous problems. The harder the challenge, the more they enjoy it." The alert system chimed again. This time, it was from the Council's head office. Hae-yun's research was needed for an emergency meeting. In the Council chamber, Hae-yun stood before the gathered representatives, her hand steady as she presented her findings. "We thought they were just another species from a death world," she said. "But there's something else entirely. They're not survivors, they're conquerors. And not just of their world, but of any challenge we put in front of them." She showed them the latest data. Humans had already started adapting Council technology for their own use. They weren't just copying it. They were finding new ways to use it that even the Council hadn't considered. "My recommendation," Hae-yun said, looking at the worried faces around her. "Stop thinking of them as primitive beings who survived a harsh world. Start thinking of them as beings who found their harsh world too easy, so they keep looking for bigger challenges." First speaker Rutul's scales had turned almost white with concern. "Are you suggesting we can't control them?" Hae-yun shook her head. "I'm suggesting something more important. They don't just overcome control. They turn it into a tool for getting stronger. Every barrier becomes a teaching aid. Every restriction becomes a challenge to overcome." She showed one final image. A human child learning to walk, falling down, getting up, and trying again, smiling the whole time. "This is what makes them truly dangerous," she said. They don't just face challenges, they love them. And a species that loves challenges will never stop growing stronger. Li Jinwu watched the training exercise through reinforced glass, his face showing no emotion even as his hands tightened on the datapad. The council had finally agreed to a joint military exercise with humans, and the results were disturbing. "Stop the exercise," he ordered into his communicator. "We need to assess what just happened." The human soldiers stopped immediately, standing at attention. They weren't even breathing hard. The alien troops, meanwhile, lay exhausted on the ground. "Impossible," muttered Captain Vex beside him, his crystalline form flickering with disbelief. "They've been running for 6 hours straight. No species can maintain that pace." Jinwu pulled up the medical readings on his screen. "They can," he said quietly. "And this isn't even their limit." The data showed something that worried him even more than the humans' endurance. Their bodies were actually getting stronger during the exercise. Where other species weakened with exhaustion, humans grew more efficient. "Watch this," Jinwu said, playing back footage from earlier training sessions. "See how they start each day doing more than they did the day before. They're not just pushing their limits, they're expanding them." The viewing room filled with other military advisors from across the galaxy, all coming to see the phenomenon for themselves. Jinwu showed them more recordings. "Here's what happens when we increase gravity by 20%, he said, switching feeds. The humans struggled at first, but within hours they were moving normally. Within days, they were moving better than before. Their bodies don't just adapt, Jinwu explained. They overcompensate, make things harder for them. And they don't just survive. They come back stronger." A new alert flashed on his screen. The human soldiers had requested permission to continue the exercise. They wanted to try it at double gravity. "Denied," Jinwu said firmly. "We need to analyze the current data first." But the humans' request had sparked worried murmurs among the alien observers. One of them, a floating gas being, drifted forward. "You're holding them back," it observed. "Why?" Jinwu looked at the alien commanders. "Because I studied their history," he said. "When humans find a limit, they don't just push it, they break it. Then they make breaking it their new normal." He showed them historical footage. Humans breaking speed records, lifting impossible weights, surviving in space, diving deeper than any creature should go. "Most species stop when they find their limits," Jinwu continued. "Humans stop only when they break themselves. And then they heal, learn from it, and come back to break themselves again, but differently." The room fell silent as he played videos of human training methods. Athletes pushing through pain, soldiers enduring extreme conditions, astronauts preparing for space. "They have a saying," Jinwu said, "what doesn't kill you makes you stronger." Most species would consider this insane. Humans made it their way of life. Captain Vex's crystalline form trembled. "Are you suggesting we shouldn't train with them?" "No," Jinwu replied. "I'm suggesting we need to understand what we're dealing with. Look at this." He showed new footage of human children playing sports, learning martial arts, competing in games. They start training their young as soon as they can walk, not just for survival, for fun. They turn deadly serious training into games. They make entertainment out of pushing their limits. The alert flashed again. The human soldiers were still waiting for permission to continue. Jinwu looked at the alien commanders. "We have a choice to make," he said. "We can try to restrict them, knowing they'll just turn those restrictions into a new type of training. Or we can work with them, help guide their development, and hope they remember us as friends when they eventually surpass us all." The commanders looked at each other, then at the humans who were now doing light exercises while they waited. Exercises that would have exhausted most species. "Let them continue," Jinwu said finally, "but record everything. Because we're not just watching a training exercise anymore. We're watching the birth of something new. A species that treats every limitation as a temporary inconvenience." He turned up the gravity controls, and the humans below grinned as they felt the increased weight. They weren't just ready for the challenge. They were excited by it. That, Jinwoo said quietly, is what makes them truly dangerous. Not their strength, not their endurance, but their joy in pushing beyond what should be possible. Science Director Park Sun-mai stood in her lab, watching the humans through the observation window. They were supposed to be learning how to use council technology. Instead, they were taking everything apart. "Should we stop them?" her assistant asked, nervously watching as the humans dismantled a standard food processor. "No," Sun-mai said, making notes on her tablet. "I want to see what they do next." What they did next amazed her. Instead of just studying the food processor, they began rebuilding it. But they weren't putting it back the way it was. They were making it better. "Look at this," Sun-mai said, pointing to the screens showing detailed scans. "They've improved the energy efficiency by 40%, and they didn't even understand how it worked 2 hours ago." Her lab had been studying human innovation patterns for weeks now. Every test showed the same strange result. Humans didn't just solve problems. They looked for them. "Play back the recording from yesterday," she ordered. The screens lit up with footage of humans examining council medical equipment. "See this moment." She pointed to a human doctor frowning at a tissue regenerator. "Watch what happens when we tell her it's working perfectly." In the video, the doctor nodded, then asked, "But could it work better?" Sun-mi turned to the gathered council scientists. "This is what makes them different. Most species only fix things when they break. Humans try to improve things that already work perfectly." She showed more footage. Humans testing council vehicles, examining alien computers, studying space drives. In every case, they didn't just learn to use the technology. They tried to change it. "At first, we thought they were being disrespectful," Sun-mai explained. "But look closer." She zoomed in on their faces, showing their intense focus, their excited discussions. "They don't change things because they think we did badly. They change things because they can't help themselves. Making things better is like breathing to them." A new alert popped up on her screen. The humans had finished rebuilding the food processor. It now used half the power and worked twice as fast. "How?" one of the council scientists asked. "They've only known about our technology for a month." Sun-mi pulled up the humans' work logs. "Because they don't follow normal research patterns. Look at this." She displayed a split screen showing different species' approaches to learning. Normal species find a working solution and stick to it. Humans find a working solution and immediately ask, "What if we tried something else?" She showed them human history, the progress from steam to electricity, from ground cars to flying machines, from simple computers to artificial intelligence. Most concerning, Sun-mai said, is their response to failure. She played videos of failed human experiments, machines breaking, tests going wrong, inventions failing. "Watch their reactions," she told the council scientists. "They're smiling. They treat failure like a success." One of the alien scientists, a being made of pure energy, flickered in confusion. "How is failure a success?" "Because," Sun-mai explained, "they see failure as information. Every time something breaks, they learn a new way not to do it. And then they try again, differently." She showed them current human projects, experiments with council technology, attempts to combine alien and human engineering, new ideas that even the council hadn't considered. "They have a saying," Sun-mai said. "Innovation is not about following the rules. It's about finding better rules." Most species would consider this dangerous. Humans consider it progress. The screen suddenly lit up with a new alert. The humans had started testing their improved food processor design on other devices. And that, Sun-mai said quietly, is what makes them truly dangerous. Not just their ability to improve things, but their endless drive to do so. They don't know how to stop making things better, even when better isn't needed. She looked at her fellow scientists, her face serious. "We're not just dealing with a species that can use technology. We're dealing with a species that sees every piece of technology as a challenge to improve, and they will never stop trying to make things better, faster, stronger. The room fell silent as they watched the humans already starting to take apart another device, their faces bright with curiosity and excitement. They don't just adapt to technology, Sun Mei concluded. They make technology adapt to them, and they do it with joy. Diplomatic analyst Toy Tawan sat in the observation room, watching the humans during their first trade negotiation with the Spiral Arm Alliance. What he saw made him both impressed and worried. "Replay the last 10 minutes, he told the AI system. The screens lit up, showing the human diplomats talking with 6 different alien species at once. "Notice what they're doing," Taiwan said to his team. "They're using different body language with each species, different tones, different gestures. They're adapting their entire communication style." His assistant, a telepathic being from the outer rim, pulsed with confusion. "How can they know what each species prefers? We didn't give them that information." "They figured it out," Taiwan said, pointing to his data. "Watch how they test different approaches. When something works, they remember it. When something fails, they try something new." The screens showed humans meeting with various alien delegates. With the crystal beings, they used precise, structured language. With the energy beings, they used flowing gestures. With the hive minds, they spoke in collective terms. "Most species communicate one way," Taiwan explained. "Humans change themselves to match whoever they're talking to. They become almost like chameleons." He pulled up more footage. Humans in different situations, talking to different aliens. Each time, they changed their behavior to match their audience. "But here's what's really interesting," he said, zooming in on brain scans. "They're not just pretending. They actually change how they think to better understand other species." The room fell silent as they watched humans learning alien customs, not just copying them, but truly trying to understand them. They didn't just learn alien languages. They started thinking in them. "Look at this," Taiwan said, showing new data. When they speak different languages, their brain patterns actually change. When they deal with different cultures, they adjust their whole way of thinking. His assistant pulsed with worry. "Is this some form of deception?" "No," Taiwan replied. "That's what makes it so remarkable. They're genuinely trying to understand. They want to know how other species think, feel, and see the world." He showed them human entertainment, stories about aliens, movies about different cultures, games about understanding other perspectives. "They've been preparing for this their whole history," he explained. "Every time they met a new human culture, they had to learn to understand different ways of thinking. They turned it into an art form." The screen showed humans successfully negotiating treaties that should have been impossible, solving conflicts that had lasted centuries, finding common ground between species that had never been able to communicate before. "Most species stick to what they know," Taiwan said. "Humans actively seek out different viewpoints. They don't just tolerate different ways of thinking. They collect them." A new alert flashed. The humans had just resolved a trade dispute that the Council had been struggling with for decades. They did it in one day. "How?" asked one of the observers. "That dispute seemed impossible to solve." Taiwan showed them the recording. They didn't try to make either side agree with the other. Instead, they found a way to make both sides see the situation differently. They didn't just solve the problem. They changed how everyone thought about it. He turned to his team, his face serious. "This is why they're more dangerous than we thought. They don't just adapt physically or technologically. They adapt mentally. They can think like us, understand like us, see the world like us." The screen showed humans already starting to teach other species their methods of understanding and communication. "And that's the most dangerous part," Taiwan concluded. "They don't keep these abilities to themselves. They teach them to others. They're not just changing themselves, they're changing how the entire galaxy thinks." His assistant pulsed with a new pattern, not fear, but understanding. They're not just dangerous because they're strong. No, Ta-1 agreed. They're dangerous because they can understand anyone, adapt to anyone, and teach others to do the same. They're not just physical aliens. They're mental ones. The room watched as the humans began another negotiation, already changing their approach to match their new partners, their faces showing nothing but genuine interest in understanding the new way of thinking. Cultural expert Yoon Ji-min walked through the alien entertainment district, noting all the changes. Just 6 months after first contact, human influence was everywhere. She stopped to watch alien children playing a game they had learned from humans called tag. "Record this," she told her AI assistant. "Special focus on the non-human children's reactions." The alien youngsters weren't just playing the game, they were laughing. Many species didn't usually show emotions this way, but after meeting humans, they had started copying human expressions of joy. Ji-min entered a nearby theater, where an alien audience watched a human movie. The story was simple, a hero overcoming impossible odds. But the aliens were completely captured by it. "Pause recording," she said, making notes on her tablet. "They're not just watching. They're learning to hope." Back in her office, Ji-min prepared her report for the council. Her screen showed hundreds of examples of human culture spreading through alien societies. "Look at these numbers," she told her team. "Alien children are asking for human stories. Adults are watching human sports. Even the most logical species are starting to tell jokes." One of her team members, a being made of pure thought, sparked with concern. "Is this not just entertainment?" "No," Ji-min said, pulling up more data. "Entertainment is just the carrier. What's really spreading are human ideas." She showed them before and after studies. Alien species that never took risks were starting to try new things. Species that always followed rules were beginning to question them. Species that never imagined different futures were starting to dream. "Humans don't just tell stories," Ji-min explained. "They use stories to share ideas, and their main idea is always the same: things can change." The screens displayed more examples. Alien art inspired by human creativity. Alien music incorporating human emotions. Alien games teaching human ways of thinking. "Most species create art to show what is," Ji-min said. "Humans create art to show what could be. And other species are starting to do the same." A new alert flashed on her screen. An alien child had just written a story about exploring unknown space, something their species had never done before. "This is what makes human culture so powerful," Ji-min continued. "It doesn't force changes. It makes others want to change themselves." She showed them clips of alien children playing pretend, something many species had never done before meeting humans. They were imagining themselves as explorers, inventors, heroes. "Human stories teach that anyone can become more than they are," Ji-min explained. "To us, this seems normal. To many species, it's a completely new idea." Her team watched as she played more recordings. Alien scientists trying new research methods, alien leaders adopting human-style problem-solving, alien artists experimenting with new forms. "Most species protect their culture," Ji-min said. "Humans share theirs freely. They don't just accept others learning from them, they encourage it." She pulled up her final data set, statistics showing massive changes in alien behavior patterns after exposure to human culture. "This is the real danger," she said quietly. "Not their weapons, not their technology, not even their adaptability. It's their ability to make other species want to be different." One of her team members, a hive mind colony, rippled with understanding. "They're changing the galaxy's dreams." "Yes," Ji-min agreed. "And they're doing it with stories, games, and songs. No species can defend against that." She looked at her screens, where more and more aliens were creating art, telling stories, and playing games they had learned from humans. "We thought the danger was that humans would force their way of life on others," Ji-min concluded. "But it's much more powerful than that. They make their way of life look so interesting that others choose to copy it. The screen showed alien children drawing pictures of impossible things, alien adults telling stories of change, entire species starting to imagine different futures. They're not just dangerous because they're strong, Ji-min said. They're dangerous because they make everyone around them stronger too. And they do it with nothing more than ideas and dreams. Security Chief Hong Min-ki stood before the Emergency Council meeting, his face grave as he presented his findings. After a year of studying humans, he had finally understood what made them truly dangerous. "We were wrong," he began, his voice steady. "We thought they were dangerous because they came from a death world. But that's not it at all." The council chamber's screens lit up with his collected data, a year's worth of observations, studies, and incidents involving humans. "Look at these patterns," Min-ki said, pointing to the display. "Every time we think we understand humans, they show us something new. Every time we think we've seen their limits, they break them." He showed footage from across the galaxy. Humans working with different species, solving problems, creating new things, teaching others their ways. "Most predators hunt for food," Min-ki explained. "Most dangerous species fight for territory. But humans, they hunt for knowledge. They fight for ideas." The screen showed humans in various situations, exploring dangerous planets, experimenting with risky technology, pushing into unknown space. "We thought they were just brave," he continued. "But it's more than that. They're curious. And their curiosity is stronger than their fear." Min-ki pulled up new data, showing how human influence had spread through the galaxy. Other species adapt to survive. Humans adapt because they want to. And then they teach others to do the same. He showed them scene after scene. Humans training alien soldiers, teaching alien scientists, working with alien artists. In every case, the aliens became more capable, more innovative, more human-like. "This is what makes them the ultimate predators," Min-ki said. "They don't just hunt or fight. They transform everything around them. They make every species they meet more dangerous." The council members watched as he displayed more evidence. Species that had been peaceful for millennia were now exploring space. Species that never created art or writing stories. Species that feared change were embracing it. "But here's the most dangerous part," Min-ki said, bringing up his final data set. "They do all this without trying, without even meaning to. They can't help themselves." He showed them human children teaching alien children to climb trees. Human doctors showing alien healers new ways to save lives. Human builders working with alien architects to create impossible structures. "Most dangerous species want to be the strongest," Min-ki explained. "Humans want everyone to be stronger. They don't see other species as competition. They see them as potential allies." A new alert flashed across his screen. Another group of aliens had just asked to learn human ways of thinking and doing things. "We can't stop this," Min-ki told the council. "We can't contain it, because it's not something humans do, it's something they are." He showed them one final set of images, humans and aliens working together, learning from each other, creating new things together. "Every predator we've ever known tried to be the best hunter," Min-ki said. "Humans tried to teach everyone else to hunt. Every dangerous species we've met tried to be the strongest. Humans try to make everyone stronger." The council chamber was silent as his words sank in. One of the members finally spoke up. "What do you recommend?" Min-ki looked at his screens, where humans continued to change the galaxy just by being themselves. "We have three choices. We can try to stop them, but we'll fail. We can try to contain them, but they'll break free. Or we can accept that the galaxy is changing and try to guide that change." He turned back to the council. "Because that's what makes humans the most dangerous creatures we've ever met. They don't want to rule the galaxy. They don't want to conquer it. They want to make it better. And they won't stop until they do." The screens showed more and more species adopting human ways, learning human ideas, becoming more like humans every day. They're not just predators of flesh and blood. Min-Ki concluded, they're predators of ideas, and ideas can't be caged, controlled, or killed. They can only spread. Dr. Kang Da-ho walked into the Grand Council chamber for the last time. After a year and a half of studying humans, he finally understood what they truly were. Today, he would share this understanding with the galaxy's leaders. Honorable Council, he began, I was wrong when I first discovered humans. We all were. We thought they were just another species from a death world. But there's something else entirely. The chamber's massive screens came to life, showing everything they had learned about humans over the past 18 months. Look at this pattern, Da-ho said, pointing to the display. Every species adapts to their environment. Every species evolves to survive. But humans? They make evolution itself adapt to them. He showed them the evidence. Humans changing planets to suit them, creating new technologies to overcome their limits, teaching other species to do impossible things. Other species wait for evolution to make them better, he explained. Humans got tired of waiting. They decided to take control of evolution itself. The screen showed human history, how they had changed themselves from cave dwellers to space travelers in a tiny fraction of evolutionary time. Most species take millions of years to evolve, Da-ho continued. Humans found a shortcut. They used their minds to force evolution to work faster. He displayed more recent footage, humans helping other species advance, teaching them new ways to think, showing them how to change their own destinies. But here's what makes them truly unique, Da-ho said. They're not content to evolve just themselves. They want to evolve everything. The planets they live on, the technology they use, even the species they meet. The council watched as he showed them the changes happening across the galaxy. Species that had been unchanged for millions of years were suddenly growing, learning, changing. Humans aren't just another successful species, Da-ho explained. They're evolution's champions. They fight against the slow pace of natural change. And they're winning. A new alert flashed on his screen. Another species had achieved something they never could before, thanks to human influence. This is why we can't treat them like other dangerous species, Da-ho said. We can't contain them. We can't control them. Because they're not just changing themselves, they're changing the rules of life itself. He showed them scenes from across the galaxy, humans and aliens working together to solve ancient problems, cure old diseases, break traditional limits. Every other species accepts the rules of nature, Da-ho said. Humans look at those rules and ask why. And if they don't like the answer, they change the rules. The chamber fell silent as he displayed his final evidence, how the galaxy had changed more in 18 months of human contact than it had in the previous 1,000 years. We face a choice, Da-ho told the council. We can fight against this change, but we'll lose. We can hide from it, but it will find us. Or we can do something no species has ever done before. We can choose to evolve. He looked at each council member in turn. Humans have already made their choice. They chose to stop being victims of evolution and start being its masters. Now they're offering that same choice to everyone else. The screen showed the latest data. More and more species choosing to follow the human path, learning to change themselves, learning to grow stronger. My final recommendation is this, Da-ho said. Stop thinking of humans as a danger to be controlled. Start thinking of them as what they really are, evolution's next step. They're not just adapting to the galaxy. They're teaching the galaxy how to adapt. He looked up at the council one last time. We thought they were dangerous because they survived a death world. But that's not it at all. They're dangerous because they've decided that everything, every species, every planet, every limit can be changed for the better. And the most dangerous part, they're right.